Hey Stallions! For today's learning goal, it says I can write a detailed description of my good or service. For today's lesson, I'm going to show you how you can describe the good or service that you're creating for the Sanders Mall. Let's get started. Before we write, it's good to think about some things. Now I'm thinking, if I'm writing about a good, I need to figure out how is it going to look. I need to think about what size, shape, and color it might be. I also want to think about what is it made out of and how it's going to work. Thinking of all of these things before I go to write my description is going to help me when I go to put all my ideas down on paper. Now some of you might be doing a service. So if you're doing a service, you need to think about what the consumers will expect from your service. You're also going to want to write and describe how you will perform your service for your customers. Now, boys and girls, I'm going to write about a good that already exists because I'm not the inventor. You guys are. You're going to be writing about what you're creating for the Sanders Mall. But for my example today in our video, I'm going to be writing about a good that already exists. I'm going to be writing about fidget cubes. If you don't know about fidget cubes, you will after you read my description. Let's go. When you write your short description of your product, you want to make sure you're writing in complete sentences and you're using that correct punctuation. That means you're making capital letters, you have finger spaces, and you're putting those periods or questions or exclamation marks at the end of your sentences. You also want to make sure you're describing using details. You want your reader to be able to visualize your good or service in their mind. We've had a lot of practice with this, Stallions, so I know you're going to do great. Let's start by reading my description, and you tell me how I did. Again, I'm going to picture those fidget cubes in my mind as I'm writing, so I make sure I include a lot of details for my reader. My product is called a fidget cube. These cubes can come in many different colors, such as pink, green, yellow, or blue. Fidget cubes are small, hard plastic cubes that can fit in your hand. The purpose of a fidget cube is to help you concentrate. There are little buttons and switches on the faces of the cubes that you can fidget with to help you concentrate. You can purchase a fidget cube for only $5. All right, Stallions, how'd I do? Were you able to picture my description of my product as I wrote it? I sure hope so. I worked really hard. Let's look at some pieces I included for my description. My first sentence is telling you what my product is called. You want to make sure that in your description you tell us what your product is called also. Then, my next few sentences, I went on to describe how my product looks. I described the colors, I described what it's made of, and the size. You should do that too with your short description. The next sentence, I talked about the purpose of my product. Sometimes when you're a creator and you're inventing something brand new, people don't know what it's supposed to be used for. So it's a good idea to include a purpose for your product or your service. I also described how it worked. I wrote in here about the little buttons and switches and how they can help you to concentrate. Try to include that in your short description too if you can. And the last detail I added in here was how much my fidget cube would cost. I'm sure if you're creating something really magnificent, your friends are going to want to know exactly how much they need to have in order to purchase your special good or service. So that's a good one to include also. All right, Stallions, you ready? It's your turn. In your priceless portfolio, you're going to turn to your short description page, and you're going to practice and write your short description of your product. Be sure to include all those details and that neat handwriting. Good luck, Stallions.